Everybody, what's up? I got a bunch of invasions here at Lothar Castle for you today on my soul level 70 Dex build. In fact, I think all the invasions are actually in Dragon Barracks, and nothing special about this build. Pure Dex build. Had a lot of fun with this guy. I've thought about looking in Mooj and Monkey just to make sure that my points in Dex aren't being misplaced. It's possible that I could move some of those off to Strength or something and get better returns, but I haven't really confirmed that. And there to the left, you can see the weapons, my standard loadout, the Lothric Knight, the dagger, which I don't use enough. I really should swap to that more often, and the mace. I've been using the mace a lot lately, and I've really been digging it. And of course, the shield and crossbow. I'd show you the fashion, but nobody really cares because my fashion is awful. The standard ring setup for me these days. Hornet and Obscuring are kind of the two that I swap. Obscuring I'll swap to the Night Slayer when people are turtling. You'll see quite a bit of that, I think, in this video. These are some of the other weapons I carry actively on the build. The Gothards are great for chase downs. Murakumo's great for the poise, although because it's so heavy, I kind of have to change my build out a bit, so it's not something I can easily swap to on the fly. The hand axe. This is something I learned from the Mocha Latte to offhand it. I don't have any use of it in this video, but I hope to showcase it in an upcoming video. It's really powerful. This first invasion here, this was actually during Stray Curtis's stream. And I don't know who this other invader is, but I'm sure it's got to be somebody from his stream because they're really, really, really good. And it is just such a joy to co-invade with a really good invader. So I see him taking most of the aggro here, so I immediately zero in on the mage because the mage is the most dangerous person, especially dangerous to the other invader who can't keep an eye on him, so I have to try to keep the mage as busy as I can. Now obviously at the same time I'm trying to worry about this guy's aggro, and he keeps wanting to go for this charged R2 when he's buffed, which is not a good idea because it is so easy to parry that attack and you see it coming from a mile away. And the other invader very sensibly comes in while the other guy's distracted and gets a really nice backstab. So I go back here to try and to keep this other phantom distracted, the mage. And so now the invasion's basically over with this invader and me chasing this guy down. He doesn't have much of a chance. So the challenge obviously is to stay out of each other's way while at the same time keeping pressure up on the host and hopefully not allowing him to resummon. So I go for a couple roll catches, running R1, and then I back off and let the other invader move in. And it works textbook. Those are so much fun. I wish I knew who that other guy was because he's really good and he's doing the funny backsteps, so I have to show him I'm cool too and I can do them. GG, man. It's funny. I've been talking a lot with people like Saint and Nor and others. Our builds have changed so much in the last 8 months or so. I know if you were to have looked at my builds previously 6 months ago, you'd have found like 8 meta builds for dueling and then maybe 1 or 2 for invasions, and I would have probably invaded on the 120s and the 125s as well. But given the change in the game now, I think most of us are going in the same direction where we've got builds kind of for each area of the game at various soul levels and weapon upgrade levels. This guy here, because he's at +7, the Dragon Barracks are kind of interesting because you have people coming in here at +6. They don't have any chunks yet. And you also have people coming in here at +10 because they've maybe already gone and done Sigurd's quest and they've got their first slab. So it's kind of hard to know what to do. Obviously, with this build, I can't match to +10, but I can match to everybody else +6 through +9. So I don't give myself as much of an advantage as I could possibly have, but I trade off that advantage for having a wider sort of pool of people to invade into. And there I get caught, and I catch the full brunt of that miracle, and you can see it took off like half my health. And I notice these guys are turtling, so I'm going to get rid of the Obscuring ring and put on the Night Slayer ring. And I know I've mentioned this in previous videos. This ring is amazing. And here, this guy, he can't heal. He's been hit with an Undead Hunter charm, so I'm going to keep harassing him with crossbow bolts, and I almost finished him off. I debated chasing him down, but things were going pretty well at this point, and that could have been the decision that ended up ending the invasion for me. So I think in retrospect it was the right call, but it was definitely a tough call to make. There I panic roll a little bit and get caught for it. This area right here on this staircase, I mean, this is a great place to deal with a crew. And there, that was very dangerous. That could have been the end of the invasion right there. And right here, it almost is. I get caught out, stun lock hell, and almost die. But the nice thing is that emboldens these guys to come in and chase me. And so I've got a 2v1 here while the host is distracted. And here I really should have probably swapped to the dagger. Doesn't matter here, but it took me 2 parries to get rid of that guy, whereas I could have probably gotten rid of him earlier with just a single one. And here he swaps to the parry shield. I know exactly what's coming, and I'm able to put him down for it. Have to back off and let my stamina recharge there. Even players that know better than to swing 3 times, they get low on health and they get a little bit panicked and they catch you with 2 R1s. It's just too tempting to keep swinging the weapon. So one thing I've been thinking a lot about, and I may have talked about in my previous videos, is reading your opponent or opponents. So here I see this guy. He doesn't seem very scared of me. I see he's got a Llewellyn shield and what appears to be a dagger in his offhand, which makes me think he's either going to be fishing for crits or he's going to be a parry spammer, and it kind of looks like it's going to be the latter. And sure enough, he goes to a parry immediately. I swing the weapon. Again, I come in. I'm able to punish him with a backstab. But I've learned to kind of avoid R2s in general against people who parry spam. And right here, I'm going to show you an instance of why. So I read the roll and I go to punish it. That parry looked really late. I think the thrusting attacks have kind of a lingering hitbox, and that's why he was able to get that parry on me. Fortunately, because he already had the dagger and he went fumbling, he went to swap to the dagger forgetting that he already had it active, I was able to take advantage, because had he riposted me, he certainly had the Hornet ring on. He might not have killed me, but it would have been very close if he didn't. So I kind of got lucky there. So again, thinking about opponent reads, I see 2 guys, both with big ultra swords. They've got them both buffed. When I see players with very similar builds like this, I usually make the assumption that they're playing through the game together, that they're probably buddies. They've probably kind of talked through their builds. They've come to kind of a similar conclusion as one another. So I'm also assuming these guys are probably mic'd up and able to coordinate with one another. But 2 ultras are really, really dangerous. Any one of them hits me with the other one around, and that's probably going to be the end of the fight. So I mentioned the mace. The mace is glorious. The mace is such a fantastic weapon, especially against players that aren't accustomed to perseverance, which is most PvE players. And you see here, this player isn't, and I almost kill him. I get the standard roll catch. But here I get too greedy, and what I probably should have done was hit perseverance and then chased him down, which is a change that I've made, and that's what I usually would do now. But at least if I persevered, that would have prevented me from getting stun locked, and I could have chased that other guy down and probably roll caught him. Here I sprint away because I lost sight of the other player and I wanted to make sure he wasn't setting up on me. And this kind of unlocked dance that I'm doing here, actually, it was funny. Saint kind of made fun of me for it a little bit in his stream yesterday. But it's kind of like a spacing tool that I'm trying to use. Playing completely unlocked, and look at this, 1, 2, 3, and dead. Playing completely unlocked is still something that's a little foreign to me, and so it's kind of part of the discipline that I enforce on myself to try to train myself to play better unlocked. And really, And I see this guy swinging multiple times, so I switch over to the straight sword and the parry shield. But more than playing unlocked, what I'm finding is the key is locking and unlocking at the appropriate time. So being unlocked mostly, locking on for your attacks, and then immediately disengaging and unlocking again until you acquire your next target. So I had a number of kind of like one-on-ones in this video, which I don't normally showcase, but I thought they were kind of interesting because in all the cases, they had parry tools. And so getting a read and understanding the other player's intentions is really important. So you can see, somebody with a buckler, bottom line, they want to parry you. There is no other reason for them to have that shield out at all. And I misread the spacing on that attack. And this guy catches me a couple times, and pretty quickly I'm down to about half health, but I'm not going to heal unless he does. Again, this, it's just kind of a self-discipline sort of thing to force myself to play better. But getting a read on somebody and how often do they intend to parry? Are they going to parry every time I come in weapon range? There, I saw he stopped moving around, which is a mistake a lot of newer players make. When they want to parry you, they're trying to focus on the spacing. They stop moving, but that is a dead giveaway to anyone that's experienced what your intentions are, and I'm able to punish it. And he used, I can't remember if it's the Hidden or Divine Blessing, and I don't know if he ran out of Estus coming through the Knights earlier or what happened there, but I thought that was a little odd. So this particular invasion has been going on for about a minute at this point, and this guy switches over to the Ring Knight paired greatswords, and so I switch to the mace because the best counter for the L1 spam is Perseverance. Is by far the best approach that I found, and when I say I found, actually it was Nif that found it and popularized that approach, I think, in a video that he made when the Ring Knight paired greatswords came out in the Ring City DLC. So I'm kind of biding my time here because I really cannot afford to get stun locked by this guy. He looks like he's got the ward in Twin Blades. All he has to do is hit me once, and then this other guy's going to come in and just completely tear me apart with the paired greatswords. These guys seem to be having fun, which is always cool. Like having invasions where the person getting invaded is having fun, to me, is much more preferable to a lone host that's running scared. And this Phantom now is kind of making my my life a little bit difficult because he's just kind of hanging out down here with the host, doing a lot of charged R2s, which makes it really difficult for me to come in on him. So at this point I unlock and I go for the unlock backstab and I whiff it and I get a charged R2 to the face, which takes off half my health. So I think it's right about this point where I realize I'm not doing a good job of motivating these guys to get moving. So I put the crossbow on, and I know I've mentioned it in previous videos, but this is such a fantastic tool for motivating recalcitrant parties. People just want to hang back and force you to play their game and come in close to them and get ganked. And this allows you to not play their game and keep doing damage to them from a distance and keep just kind of harassing them. And I think more important than the damage, it's annoying to get hit by crossbows. If you've ever been in a situation where somebody's peppering you with crossbow bolts, it's really annoying. You can just punish spacing mistakes. You can see that I'm just destroying this guy with the crossbow. It's always funny when you see phantoms or hosts kind of sit down. I always take that to mean like, screw you, we're not coming up there, we're not going to play your game, and of course I'm not going to play theirs, but I have the advantage in that this is a game I play all the time. So I know how to motivate people that don't want to play my game. So I think at this point, finally, they realize, like, I'm not going to come down there. And so far, the Phantom hadn't been doing any rolling attacks. And if you'll notice, I haven't tried to parry anyone yet. I haven't given them any indication that I even intend to parry. And that's really, really important because that's how you bait people into doing attacks that can be parried. You don't flash it right away. It puts people at ease. They think they don't have to worry about it. And then when the time is right, you drop it. And a lot of times, I won't even parry attacks that I know can be parried against somebody that's at full health because I know the parry isn't going to finish them off. They're going to run away and heal. And then everybody's going to be a lot more wary. And wary opponents make invasions go a lot longer. So I know a lot of people have been talking about Dark Souls 1 and the remaster, and I've talked about it a little bit in some of my preceding videos, and I've had a few people ask me if I intend to make content for it, and the answer is certainly yes, I will. And this is weird. I don't know if this guy actually intends to point down at me or if he made a mistake. But he's got the spike mace. He's got a lot of poise. So I'm going to be a reactive little bitch. And sensing this potentially here, he switches off to the straight sword. He's got that offhand cestus, and that thing makes me nervous. And there, I shouldn't have gone for that parry. I should have read him better. That was a mistake on my part, because he easily could have run and backstabbed me and really punished that. But Dark Souls 1, I think it's really going to depend on what the game's like. And I mentioned this to Nif the other day. Frankly, I'm a little intimidated because there's people that have been refining their skills in that game for half a decade now. And for somebody like me who really never PvP'd in that game to come along, now obviously I'll be able to take some of the things I learned from Dark Souls 3. I mean, spacing is spacing, timing's timing. None of those things are really going to change. But a lot of the tech is different, and it's going to take me a while to adapt. But I think even kind of showcasing that learning experience could be of interest. So we'll have to see, and it depends on the interest that other people show in it too. And because I used the obscuring ring there, you saw I was able to run up and get a backstab, and that's something I've been doing a lot more of. I think you'll see it again in this video, and in an upcoming video, I've got some really good clips that'll showcase it as well. People look around and they don't see you, and they don't realize that you could be a lot closer than you are because of the obscuring ring. I know even me, I've gotten caught by that when I've been invaded, and I've made the mistake of assuming that because I couldn't see them, they weren't close by. I don't make that mistake anymore, but I used to, and I know just how easy it is to make. So now we got the full package. We've got 2 Sumbros and the host. The host is a pyro. It's obviously a very dangerous setup. There's no way in hell I'm going to fight those guys down there. There's just no way. I'm doing my little unlock dance again, trying to get positioning on these guys, trying to force them to make a spacing mistake that I can capitalize on. And that rolling attack that I punished with 2 R1s, I suspected that running attack was coming, or rolling attack rather, and I could have parried it and maybe could have finished him off. But again, once you show the parry, it really changes the whole tenor of the invasion. And because I was able to punish it with 2 R1s, I didn't feel like the time was really right yet. And I'm still trying to get a read on these guys and understand their tendencies and what they're going to do. And this guy here really loves the weapon art on his sword. I think that's the Irithel straight sword. And it is both those weapon arts are really good, but when that's all you do, it takes away a lot of the value. And I really love this knight here. He either makes parties too cautious to come in, so you can kind of come back here and heal, or he's a great distraction and you can kind of pick the party members off one at a time. And you may have noticed there, I whiffed a parry. I went for the parry out of hit stun, which I thought for sure I would get. And I actually ended up whiffing a couple more. And that's something that always makes me feel shitty. I never want to whiff parries. And if I'm whiffing more than a couple, that means I'm doing it wrong, and I need to really change my approach. There, I thought for sure again that I would get it, but I did not. So these guys had some idea of what they were doing. And now the knight's dead, so now I gotta run away. That guy's got the Farron meme swords, but he's not going for the third L1. So again, a sign that these guys have an idea of what they're doing. So I'm kind of forced to beat these guys with just standard spacing and timing. I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. Like I'm baiting out their attacks, I'm forcing them to make spacing errors, and then I'm punishing them briefly, stepping back out, changing my focus to one of the other team members, and there's my third, I think, and final whiffed parry. The host is making some mistakes, hitting out a stun occasionally, standing R1s after running R1s, and here I see the Sunbros out of Estes, and so I get super excited, and I immediately zero in on him. And I hear the dragon breathing fire behind me. I have just enough time to roll catch him and get out of the way. So I think probably because he put on the Farron sword, he's fat rolling. And normally I would have a bit more sympathy for a host like this, but because he summoned an additional Sunbro when I showed up to gank me, he's not going to get much sympathy, and I'm certainly not going to go easy on him. So when you invade in Dragon Barracks, it's not an uncommon sight to see people trying to kill the dragons with bows from a distance. Generally, though, when an invader shows up, they'll stop what they're doing and look for you to engage you. But I don't know if they get too distracted, if they're focused on the dragon to such an extent that they maybe don't notice the notification. But for whatever reason, this guy isn't paying attention. See, there he switches to his weapon, so he probably is aware that I'm here. And I almost kill him. I really should have switched to the dagger for that. And I think this guy maybe has mismanaged his build, this Phantom with the Exile. Because he's hitting me with the Exile, but he's not doing nearly as much damage as I would have expected to receive from that weapon. So maybe he's got a quality weapon, maybe he's got an investment in like faith and int. That's a mistake a lot of PvE players make, is they kind of spread themselves too thin. They want their build to be everything at once, and the sort of jack of all trades, master of none applies. And so his Exile really is not doing nearly as much damage as it should, which is good. This guy's doing a lot of jumping attacks, presumably because he's afraid of my parry shield, which is smart because a lot of invaders are parry spammers, so I don't blame him at all for being a little bit cautious. I personally don't like jumping attacks, just because they make you so vulnerable. And if the person doesn't try to parry, you can get backstabbed. A number of bad things can happen. And this Phantom, I don't know if it was his timing or what, but he catches me right as I'm coming out of the iframes and is able to hit me before I move. But I notice he's one-handing his weapon, and I know he can parry with that offhand fist weapon. He hasn't tried it yet, but I'm sort of cautious and just kind of waiting to see if he is going to try something. So you can see me, I'm locking on, I'm attacking, I'm breaking lock on, and moving away. And when I remember to do that and I do it in a consistent fashion, it makes me so much more effective. I had a number of players in the comments that were kind of pushing me in that direction, and that was a mistake, that parry there. I thought I was two-handing my weapon. Now I'm in trouble. Now I got to get away and heal. But I've had a number of players really push me to play more unlocked, and I have to say, like, it has just made such a huge difference in my game. That's one bad side effect of being unlocked, is that sometimes people are able to get backstabs on you that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And he stops and pulls up because of the other night, which again is smart. If I were them, I wouldn't come in here either. I would make me come out. And watch this. From far away, he's doing charged R2s, and the only reason that somebody does that is as a parry bait. So I act like I'm biting on the bait, and sure enough, there's the parry, the backstab, and I'm able to put him out of the game. You know, when people do that charged R2 bait from so far away, it makes it so clear what they're doing. Unfortunately, my game kind of lags out, and I get the shit kicked out of me. And I had bad spacing there, and I almost died. I think level 70 is a little bit high level to be using that sword, but it's still dangerous, just not as dangerous as it is at lower levels. The Earthel straight sword. And this guy's pretty good. He definitely had a sense of like the sorts of things he should be doing and not doing. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Take care now.